Take two eyes to make a pair. Brother, we can't quit until we get our share. Say it loud. Say it loud. One more time. Say it loud.
The greatest gift that is bestowed on anybody is the gift of knowledge. We all come in here with a unique ability, and we must share these gifts with one another. The one great gift that history gives us is the information. With this information, a strategy must come about. Today is Field Trip Day. My name is Edward Bouchet. I am the first black to ever earn my PhD in physics back in June of 1876. I know, I look good for my age. Some of my colleagues and I have been working on various frequencies to time travel. So today, my class is going to be going on a particularly unique journey. One through time, space, and infinite wisdom, right here from the Dorothy Genius Theme Camp. Ah yes, this should be one field trip they must never forget.
Where's the bus? We ready to go already.
I'm on snacks today. We don't want no Lunchables. Can we please have Subway?
I mean, come on.
All right. We'll be taking off in a bit. But first, do you all have your assignments and field trips?
Yes, sir. I absolutely completed mine. And here's my field trip. Also, when you said we could pick any time period and meet anybody, did you really mean that?
Oh, indeed, I did.
Hey, y'all. Make sure you have your little buddy with you. Keep track of them at all times.
Looks like we're all here, and the bus just pulled up. Let's go.
All right, guys, this is our first stop. It seems we are in 1926 at the Asala office.
Aside what?
The Asala office, the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, to meet Mr. Carter G. Woodson.
Like the library in Chicago.
Like the school, my school. This is who I always wanted to meet. I wanted to know why he was so important they named the school after him.
Well, here's my man now. Carter G., what's happening?
Thank you for stopping by. It's been a while. We just decided to launch Negro History Week.
Week? We only get a week this year.
We have to start somewhere. This is where we're starting.
Tell them how it started so they can understand what we had to go through in order to get where we are now.
This week was chosen because it coincided with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln on February 12th and Frederick Douglass on February 14th, both dates which black communities celebrated together since the late 19th century. Negro History Week was the center of the equation. I felt deeply that at least 1 week would allow for the general annually celebrated. Also, after the 10-year-long haul to successfully complete my Journal of Negro History, I realized the subject deserved to resonate with a greater audience.
I'm sure people didn't like that at all.
Some did, some didn't, but it was necessary. You see, at the time Negro History Week launched, I believed that the teaching of black history was essential to ensure the physical and intellectual survival of the race within border society. If a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition. It becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. The American Indian left no continuous record. Some say he didn't even appreciate the value of tradition. And where is he today? The Hebrew nearly appreciated the value of the tradition, as it attested by the Bible itself. In spite of worldwide persecution, therefore, he is a great factor in our civilization.
So that's why they call you the father of black history.
All right, we gotta go. Load up, guys.
I want my peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It's not time yet.
It's always peanut butter and jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time.
That's perfect for our next stop. Now, I'm sure we can carve out some time for a little snack break. G-Dub, what's the word? Everybody meet George Washington Carver.
Hey guys, many people know me as the Peanut Man. All great things you can do with a peanut. But did you know I was able to restore the land that was destroyed by cotton to its nutrient-rich luster? It's true. Did you know the sweet potato can be used to make flour, vinegar, ink, and clothing dye and paint?
Whoa, no, I had no idea.
It's true. I also traveled to the South to promote racial harmony and to India to discuss nutrients in developing nations with Mahatma Gandhi. Young people, I discovered that along with 300 uses of products you use every day in life, Dr. Bouchet tells me you still use them in 2021?
It is true. But is it true that you studied art and piano, but still went on to pursue your scientific accomplishments?
You bet your sweet soil I did. I also became the first African American to earn a Bachelor of Science degree. Helped a good friend and mentor of mine expand the science program at Tuskegee Institute. My true passion was my people, helping them. Them poor Negro farmers were being left behind in a lot of opportunity. So I trained them. If they had an old patch of dirt, I taught them how to grow it in and out of season.
We have to go. Based on the amount of time we don't have in accordance of where we are, there is a major leap we must make.
You are right, young lady. Let's head out.
I'm trying to be a businessman. I want to make money, then come back and buy up the hood. Did you get my request? I want to sit down with Jay-Z.
Yes, Andre, I did. When I reached out, said instead of you meeting the student, you should check out the teacher. So no, I don't have Jay-Z, but I do have JG.
JG? Who was that, old man?
Jeremiah G. Hamilton. Jeremiah G. Hamilton was the only black broker on Wall Street and the only black millionaire in the mid-19th century New York. At the time, black intellectuals condemned him and his pursuit of money. They called him crass and unrefined. You haven't heard of him because American historians wanted to keep him buried so students like you won't ever aspire to be like him.
I'm listening.
Well, by any standard, Jeremiah Hamilton was widely successful. He owned ships. He traded stocks. He bought and sold real estate. And he was Wall Street's first black millionaire. It was not just that Jeremiah Hamilton succeeded, but that he did so while cutting through Wall Street's overwhelming whiteness with such verve. There was nothing timid or differential about him. When a legal official struck Hamilton with his cane, the broker swung back at him with a hunk of wood seized from a passing cart. When two white men had him arrested late at night so he couldn't be bailed out, Hamilton retaliated, arranging to have the police drag his accusers out of bed before dawn and held in a cell until they could raise a hefty sum for surety.
Where the ladies at? This seems so lopsided. Like, what about Madam C.J. Walker? She was about her bread for real. She was a philanthropist, activist, business leader, and the first black woman to amass a multi-million-dollar empire in the 1800s.
Yeah, black women have been breaking down barriers and shattering stereotypes in fields including education, sports, and politics for generations. Like Bessie Coleman, always knew she wanted to fly. Although she was rejected by aviation schools in the United States, Coleman never gave up on her dream to become a pilot. She was able to do it in 1921.
Period. And you can't forget about Mary McClone Bethune, educator extraordinaire and political activist. Bethune founded the Daytona Normal and Industrial Institute in 1904, a school for black girls. Bethune also organized voter registration campaigns as women gained the right to vote. In 1936, Bethune was the highest-ranking African-American woman in government as the Director of Negro Affairs of the National Youth Administration.
Exactly. Phyllis Whitley. I mean, she is the reason there is a Maya Angelou, Nina Simone, Queen Latifah, heck, Cardi B or Nicki Minaj.
What does Phyllis Wheatley have to do with Cardi B?
She was fired with that pen. Fearless, too. In 1773, Wheatley was the first African-American poet to publish a book of her work. It was called Poems on Various Subjects, religious and moral.
Oh, you all have made me so proud. Looks like you guys have been paying attention at the camp. A great playwright from Chicago theater scene once said that the past and the present makes the perfect duet.
That reminds me of a poem. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion's model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, and the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves, I wonder what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. A woman, phenomenally.
Let's get on with this tour. I'm ready to see more. Now me, I plan to one day be on the Supreme Court. I want to make a difference at the highest law of the land.
I like to hear that. I got somebody for you to meet. In 1967, President Lyndon B. Johnson appointed Thurgood Marshall to the Supreme Court, and that is where we are headed.
I get to meet Thurgood Marshall? Oh my God.
Not quite, but a good friend of his, and she gives you a look at the greatness that came from Harlan and the Sugar Hill, of course.
Well, I'm Gina Mae, and this tour here is out of sight. It's the first time I had to do it with this here. But we do what we got to do. Now, I'm going to school y'all on what was called the Sweet Life on Sugar Hill. Well, Sugar Hill featured row houses for such prominent African Americans as W.E.B. Du Bois, Thurgood Marshall, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., and the Duke Ellington. And my buddy, Langston Hughes, he wrote all about his prominence. Now, all these cats were influential in their respective careers, but I'm going to school y'all on Langston Hughes. Well, he was best known as the first African-American Supreme Court justice. He played an instrumental role in promoting racial equality and during the civil rights. As a practicing attorney, Marshall argued a record-breaking 32 cases before the Supreme Court, winning 29 of them. In fact, Marshall represented and won more cases before the High Court than anybody else. Now, during his 24-year term as Supreme Court Justice, Marshall's passionate support for individuals and civil rights guided his policies and his decisions. Most historians regard him as an influential figure in shaping social policies and upholding laws to protect Negroes and minorities who benefited from it.
Now, wait a minute, Gina Mae. You can't just drop that heavy load on these youngins without something to wash it down with. Now, you know that Harlem Renaissance was all the rage.
Yeah, girl, true, yeah. But you know what? We need to get on this bus and take this ride with these youngins. I ain't been out here in a while.
Oh, well, let's roll.
Ooh, now y'all want to see some talents? Well, the Harlem Renaissance is definitely where it's at. Now, I'm going to kick it off with Billie Holiday. As a young singer, Holiday became part of the vibrant Harlem Renaissance scene, performing in nightclubs and jazz clubs. At only 18, she recorded her first record as part of a studio group led by Benny Goodman. Her career quickly grew as she recorded songs with Teddy Wilson and began a long partnership with Lester Young, who actually gave her the nickname Lady Day. In 1938, she was invited to headline an orchestra by Artie Shaw, and Holiday became the first African-American woman to work with an all-white band. And one of her most famous songs, Strange Fruit, was based on a horrific and detailed account of a lynching in the South. Many scholars now consider it one of the first protest songs of the Civil Rights Movement.
southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here's a strange.
We talking Harlem Renaissance? My mama always talking about that. It reminds me of a poem. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tracks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor. Bell. For all the time I's been climbing on and reaching ladders and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back, don't you sit down on the steps 'cause you finds it kinda hard. Don't you fall now, for I's still going, honey, I's still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
It's true. Our lives does throw a lot of curveballs at us, Micaiah, in all facets of life. We just got to keep the faith, baby.
Well, it seems you all have been paying attention in camp. Made me proud. Indeed, keep the faith is what we all have to do. Here's a little inspiration from Mr. Keep the Faith baby himself, Adam Clayton Powell.
Yeah, many say he was the grandfather of Harlem, ran that Abyssinian church, and grew his congregation to 10,000 with his father. Powell represented power and spoke up for black power. Powell believed that the mass action was the most powerful force on earth, as long as it was within the law. If it was within the law, change that law. He said, don't shop where you can't work, and that changed everything in Harlem.
I went to St. Louis, Missouri the other day. They had Black Panthers from all over the country. No one knew about it at all. They had machine guns, recoilless rifles, grease guns, Lugers, 25 of them, all armed. And the chief of police met me at the airport when I arrived, and they were there, right there at the steps. He said, you were violating the law. Yeah, we're violating the law? He said, we're tired of our white and black leaders, Jackie and Martin and Bobby, being killed. We're going to protect this man while he's here. And they didn't arrest one of them. Because they said if you arrest one, then someone's going to die, because we are ready to kill. Black power means black dignity. Just as surely as you're proud to be white, we're proud to be black. Black is beautiful, baby. It's pretty. I always say to my brothers, I say, baby, don't worry about the white chicks. We got everything from chalk to charcoal in our own race. You see? Black is beautiful. Black is beautiful. Black power means dignity. Means we're going to walk side by side with you or through you. We're going to be with dignity and integrity. We don't want any more than you have, and we're not going to accept any less than you have. That's Black Power.
People moving out, people moving in. Why? Because of the color of their skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vote for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on. Well, the only person talking about love, now, brother, is the preacher. And it seems nobody's interested in learning but the teacher. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. That's what the world is today. Hey. The sale of pills are at an all-time high. Young folks walking around with their heads in the sky. Cities aflame in the summertime. Revolution, gun control the sound of soul. Shooting rockets to the moon, kids growing up too soon. Politicians say more taxes will solve everything. And the band played on. So, round and around we go. Where the world's headed, nobody knows. Everywhere, unemployment rising fast, the Beatles' new records of gas. And the only safe place to live is on an Indian reservation. And the band played on. Eve of destruction, tax deduction. City inspectors, bill collectors, hardcore demand, population out of hand. Suicide, too many bills, hippies moving to the hill. People all over the world are shouting in the war. And the band played on. Can't you hear me talking to you? Say the ball in the future. Let me hear, let me hear, let me hear. Say it for the future. That's what the world is today. Let me hear, let me hear, let me hear, let me hear, let me hear. Say it for the future.
We gotta take it to the streets. The social injustice movement today is gonna make a better impact than civil rights and black power in the 70s. Cause we still losing. We poor, unemployed, uneducated, poor representation, a punchline to a highlight reel. We gotta go hard, make them hear us. Get ready, I'm gonna go live for IG from the protest.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Y'all willing to die for it?
Say what?
Oh, yeah. Die. Take the bullet. Give up the ghost. Because you see, the ancestors that you are disrespecting and discounting their contribution to your advancements went out every day with their cemetery suits on. Because today,
might be the day, the last day. See, there are many that you have heard of, but many, many more civil rights soldiers that you have not.
Like Rev. George Lee, one of the first black people registered to vote in Humphreys County. He used his voice in pulpit and his printing press to urge others to vote. White officials offered Lee protection on the condition he end his voter registration efforts. But Lee refused, and he was murdered.
And Lamar Smith was shot dead on the courthouse lawn by a white man in broad daylight while dozens of people watched. The killer was never indicted because no one would admit that they saw a white man shoot a black man. Smith had organized blacks to vote in the recent election.
Really? Emmett Lewis Till, a 14-year-old boy on vacation from Chicago, reportedly flirted with a white woman in a store. 3 nights later, 2 men took Till from his bed, beat him, shot him, and dumped his body in the Tallahatchie River. An all-white jury found the man innocent of murder. He may not have been a civil rights leader, but he was like the spark that started the outrage.
It makes me so mad. Herbert Lee, who worked with civil rights leader Bob Moses to help register black voters, was killed by a slate legislator who claimed self-defense and was never arrested. Lewis Allen, a black man who witnessed the murder, was later also killed, and we can't forget Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers, who directed the NAACP operations in Mississippi, was leading a campaign for integration in Jackson when he was shot and assassinated by a sniper at his house.
Oh yeah, the list goes on and on. And students played a major part in the movement because your voices deserve to be heard. But you must study the effects of the past. If not for your own edification, do it for the legacy of Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley. You see, they were getting ready for church at 10 o'clock in the morning when a bomb exploded at the 16th Street Baptist Church, killing all 4 of the school-age girls ages 11 to 14. You see, the church had been the center of civil rights meetings and marches. Then Virgil Lamar Ware, 13 years old, was riding on the handlebars of his brother's bicycle when he was fatally shot by white teenagers. You see, the white youth had come from a segregationalist rally held in the aftermath of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing.
There is so much more to our history than what is on display. We have a ton of accomplishments. Our history is authentically American history, and we have to keep pushing for advancements together.
Why haven't we talked more about the advancements in STEAM? We did that Days of STEAM assignment, and we're not even going to apply it.
Well, everything we did today was STEAM. We're going to head back to the camp and go over the assignment. We just wanted you all to really feel.
I'm feeling it. Let's do it, guys.
Madison Tyler, or as we like to call her, Tony, is already on her road to success. This accomplished student athlete is kicking it in gear with a GPA of 3.5 at Greenfield Academy. There, she is piloted a forensic science program and is set to graduate in July 2022. Tony is a humanitarian that participated in a 30-day residential program in Hajumbo, Tanzania, Africa, making an impact in the community there through her volunteerism. She received the Distinguished Ambassador of the Road Less Travel, among other awards. Without no further ado, Madison Tyler. Hey Madison, thank you for joining us. Let's get right into it.
How did you choose this field? I remember when I was in 6th grade and my science teacher showed me a show called Forensic Files, and I was automatically interested and wanted to know more.
To you, what is forensic science?
Forensic science to me is the application of science and crime to get an answer.
What is most satisfying about forensic science to you?
The element of surprise. Most times the answer isn't as straightforward as you think, and you need multiple trials and errors to get the answer.
What do you expect to be the most challenging thing about the job?
Finding the answers to solve the case. I think it'll be the most difficult, but well worth it.
What skills are the most important to have?
Being a risk taker, being open-minded, and being okay with failure, because everything won't always go your way.
How do you handle stress?
I like doing things like cooking, baking, drawing, or just listening to music.
So, as a young person, who inspired you and why?
There were a number of inspirations that I was fortunate to benefit from as a child. Obviously, first and foremost, my parents. My mother and father both were great examples of the benefits of hard work and sacrifice in achieving your goals. And those were two things that I learned that served me extremely well along my career path. There were a number of other influences that may not have been as obvious. And as I think back on that question, one of the examples that comes to mind was my favorite TV show, which was ER. And it's a medical TV show that was set in Chicago, which is where I grew up. And there was a single black character that they had on the show. And his name was Peter Benton, played by Eric LaSalle, and he happened to be a general and trauma surgeon, which, maybe coincidentally, that was my favorite character, and I then subsequently became a general and trauma surgeon. But I do believe that, more subtle influences and role models like that do play a role, and I'm glad that, I did have some positive media influences as a child as well.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. So tell us more about your field and what percentage of people that look like us advance in it.
So I have multiple fields and multiple aspects to my career, one of which is I practice as a general and trauma surgeon. Another is I run a medical device company on the innovation side. So in the field of medicine, Blacks represent about 5% of all physicians across the board. And in general surgery, we represent about 2.5%. So significantly below our representation in the general population. Blacks graduate from medical school at about 6%. So hopefully over time, those graduates end up penetrating fields like surgery and it increases our numbers. But we have quite a bit of work still to do in our medical training system.
So what's the process to achieve success in your field?
So first, you have to be very strong scholastically, and you have to attend a 4-year university, followed by 4 years of attendance at medical school. And then you have to determine what field of medicine you'd like to be trained in, and that's called a residency. For my field, I attended additional 5 years of training in general surgery residency. And then I did an additional 1 year after that to learn medical device innovation. So definitely takes a lot of dedication and a significant amount of school and training to get where I've been fortunate to be able to get in medicine.
Okay. Okay, so to lighten up the questions a little bit, what's your favorite science fiction movie and why?
Although not quite science fiction because we're getting really close to being there, I'd say The Martian was one of my favorite with Matt Damon. And the reason for that is the main character faced one of the biggest challenges I could even imagine when he accidentally got left on the planet Mars by himself without enough supplies. And through staying very calm and thinking very systematically and logically, in addition to an extreme amount of teamwork with everyone back on Earth, he was able to overcome what should have been an insurmountable obstacle. If I've got to go straight science fiction, I'd probably say Ready Player One, which was a virtual reality, fiction movie, and actually the book was even better. But I like that because it really demonstrated how the potential of technology to really integrate into people's everyday lives, but also the pros and the dangers of such integration. And we're beginning to see some of that play out now with social media and some other technologies.
Those are great answers. Oh my gosh, those are great movies too. Okay, so how do you balance like life and work and things like that?
That's a good question, and I tend to, and everyone's going to have a different answer to this question. I tend not to believe in work-life balance
Mm.
because when I think of balance, I think of equal things on both sides. And for someone who is early in their career or very ambitious, I think it's very difficult, if not impossible, to achieve true balance. What I prefer to think of in my life in particular is more work-life satisfaction or work-life happiness.
Yeah.
And I think when you do something that you really enjoy for work, then it really blurs the line between your work and your life because you enjoy what you're doing, and therefore you can work a lot of hours and still have a very high level of work-life satisfaction in that balance. So I prefer to think of it that way. I think to really answer your question, time management is really important. I do a lot of different things, both for work, for volunteer, and also for fun. And having really good time management skills and prioritization has enabled me to find a really good work-life satisfaction.
Okay, interesting. So, what would you like your legacy to be for generations to come?
Um, when I think of legacy, you kind of have to think of yourself dying, which, as morbid as it sounds, I kind of think about what I would want people to say at my funeral. And I think I'd be fortunate if at my funeral people said that they'd never met someone who had as much fun while having as major an impact on people's lives because of the patients that I've treated, or the students that I've taught, or the medical innovations that I left behind in a sustainable manner. I think to be able, if I'm fortunate enough to accomplish all of those things while still, to your earlier question, having a lot of enjoyment, out of life, I think that would be a great legacy to leave behind.
Okay, that was honestly an incredible answer to have heard, and this interview has been incredible. But that is the wrap up of my questions. And I honestly don't think that anyone could have answered the questions any better than the way you did, especially like the one about work-life balance and things like that, because saying balance does sort of imply that they're separate. And I think the way that you integrate everything in your life and you accept it all while still keeping a lot together is really incredible. So thank you for having this interview with me and for sharing your afternoon with me. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You're certainly welcome, and it was a pleasure, Dorothy.
Carrie James Marshall is the African-American artist and professor.
Katherine Dunham was an African-American dancer, choreographer, creator of the Dunham technique, author, educator, anthropologist, and social activist. Dunham had one of the most successful dance careers in African-American and European theater of the 20th century and directed her own dance company for many years.
Mae Jemison, an African-American engineer and former NASA astronaut.
Alice Ball was an African-American chemist who developed the first successful treatment for those suffering from Han's disease. She was also the very first African-American and the first woman to graduate with the MS degree in chemistry from the College of Hawaii.
Petra Ellis Lampkin is a part of the New Guard, shaking up Silicon Valley. Her tech startup promise is working on a declaration keeping people mostly poor or of color out of jail who don't need to be there.
Andrew Felton Brimmer was a noted United States economist, academic, and business leader who was the first African American to have served as the governor of the Federal Reserve System.
Dr. Claude Anderson is the president of Powernomics Corporation of America, Inc., and the Harvest Institute, Inc. He served in the cabinet of President Carter.
Levi Dickinson is a black inventor who invented the broom.
Misty Daniel Copeland is an American ballet dancer for American Ballet Theater, one of the 3 leading classical ballet companies in the United States. On June 30th, 2015, Copeland became the first African-American woman to be promoted to principal dancer in ABT's 75-year history. That's something to groove to.
Albert Cox was an American math technical. He was the first African American to receive a PhD in mathematics.
Percy Jr. was a pioneering chemist who was not allowed to attend high school but went on to earn his PhD. His research led to the chemical synthesis of drugs to treat glaucoma and arthritis. And although his race presented challenges at every turn, he is regarded as one of the most influential chemists in American history.
Julia Collins is the first black woman to co-found a company valued at $1 billion or more by investors. She's the co-founder of Zoom Pizza, a company that uses robots for many stages of pizza production.
Bridget Terry Long is the 12th Dean of the Harvard Graduate School of Education and the Sayers Professor of the Education and Economics. She is an economist whose research focuses on college access and success.
John Washington Rogers, Jr. is an investor, philanthropist, and founder of Ariel Capital Management, overseeing $10 billion in assets.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is an American astrophysicist who hosted Nova Science Now and makes a media appearance to encourage science and space exploration. Ernest Everett Just was an African-American biologist and educator best known for his pioneering work in the physiology of development, especially in fertilization. For the rest of the Days of STEAM, check out our website, DorothyGenius.com.
That reminds me of a poem called Hey Black Child.
I got this one. Hey black child, do you know who you are, who you really are? Do you know you can be what you want to be if you try to be what you can be? Hey black child, do you know where you're going, where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn? Hey black child, do you know that you're strong? I mean really strong. Do you know that you can do what you want to do if you try to do what you can do? Hey black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow your nation will be what you want it to be.
I'm planning to be an OBGYN, and that takes a lot of hard work and writing. We also need to get our stories out. The way we have been able to do that is through publications like Philip Alexander Bell, Color American, The North Star, The National Era, Douglas Monthly, The Crusader, The Defender, Ebony and Jet, Essence, and Black Enterprise. Without these journals and publications, we would never know about women like Jean Louise Harris, who was the first black woman to graduate from the Medical College of Virginia. She went on to serve on the faculty there before being appointed Virginia Secretary of Human Resources by Governor John N. Dalton. There was also Labani Bianchi. She was an electrical engineer and a major technical writer. In fact, Ebony magazine put her on the cover as Brains and Beauty. Did you all know that she worked for NASA and the Martin Marietta Nuclear Division?
Indeed, young lady, indeed. You know, if you want to make an impact in science, you have to know those who came before you and carried their spirit with you to persevere.
Well, you packed a lot there, Aaron, but when you say Ebony Magazine, you have to mention John H. Johnson, the publisher and founder of WJPC radio station, Fashion Fair, and of course, Jet Magazine. He was most noted to saying to young people,
young people, listen up. You have to always be as good as you can be, to take every job you have or everything you plan to do to give it all you have. And to not be unwilling to tackle difficult tasks, and to, as I said once before, dream small dreams. But small dreams can be accomplished. And each time you accomplish a small dream, it gives you the initiative to go into a bigger and bigger and bigger dream. Like people ask me, did you ever have any dreams such as this? I never dreamed of a building like this. Yeah, I never dreamed of a company like the Johnson Publishing Company. I dreamed of one little thing at a time. I dreamed of Negro Digest selling a few more copies. I dreamed of going from $25 a week to $100 a week. And so I think you have to dream small dreams.
Them that's got shall have, them that's got shall lose. So the Bible said, and still is the news. Mama may have, Papa may have, But God bless the child, he's got his own. He's got his own. Strong people gain while the weak people fade. Empty pockets never make the grade. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, got his own. Money, you've got lots of friends. They're crowded around your door. But when you're all gone and spending ends, they don't come around no more. Rich relations give loaves of bread and such. You can have your portion, just don't take too much. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child, got his own, got his own. Relations give loaves of bread and such. You can have your portion, just don't take too much. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child, got his own, got his own. Child, it's got his own. It's got his own. Ooh, got his own.
Mr. Graves, founder and publisher of Black Enterprise, believed that it is our responsibility to take on leadership roles when we achieve a seat at the table. Don't bring back to your community breadcrumbs. Bring back the whole loaf and the recipe.
We ought to erase the economic legacy of racism in America before it is too late. We must again form coalitions to battle for economic justice with the same determination and sense of purpose that inspired the civil rights movements in the 1960s. We must band together again to win the other half of the battle to erase the economic injustice that still permeates our land. So I have to ask you, in the end, what good will it do for us to have gained all the rights in the world if Black Americans continue to suffer the unequal pain of economic discrimination? We're not talking about charity. We never asked for a handout. Black businessmen and businesswomen simply want the opportunity to succeed or fail.
Ooh, now we can go on forever. There must be a closing of the cycle of disconnect. Our generation must reach out to the next, and they must listen and properly strategize. We must not let others dictate the outcome of our community. We must hold one another accountable as we move beyond a moment to a movement. As we exemplify a culture of excellence, not a series of hashtags. If you ever need anything, just know you can lean on me.
till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. There's a load you have to bear that you can't